Just because you can do this doesn't mean that your hamstrings are flexible. I'll show you why and how to safely stretch and release them. This is part 4 of seated leg lifts because yes, your tight hamstrings are impeding your ability to strengthen your hip flexors. The most important thing to know is where the hamstrings are attached. They're attached at those ischial tuberosities or our sit bones and then down to our knees. And so the more space that you can safely create between those two, the greater the stretch that you can get to your hamstrings. This is why people will often say to tilt your pelvis and hinge forward at the waist because this creates greater length in the hamstrings. So go ahead and try it now. Instead of bending over like this picture, try this instead. When you start to bend, hinge at your waist and send your butt back as you bend your knees, and make sure you maintain a slight natural curve in your lumbar spine. Keep your mid-back flat, and then you're trying to aim your chest toward your thighs. By slightly tilting the pelvis up to the ceiling, not overarching the low back, just a slight tilt, and then bending the knees, we're able to get much greater length. Focusing on this one pattern in daily life can really help reduce hamstring tightness and tension. In fact, don't think of it as stretching, just think of it as increasing your muscles' range of motion. But maybe you do want to stretch, so here are some other ways that you can find some relief. The first type of stretching I recommend is dynamic stretching, which is stretching with movement. One of the most classic examples of this is going to be a low lunge hamstring stretch. And if you notice, for this one, we're addressing both the hip flexors and the hamstrings at the same time because, you know, they work together. The second way to find relief is actually eccentric strengthening, and this is things like Romanian deadlifts and other similar movement where you're hinging at the waist and really creating length in the hamstrings while you're also using resistance. That not only is going to lengthen the hamstrings, but also make them stronger at the same time. Another way to stretch the hamstrings is static stretching, and that's holding a pose for 30 seconds or more. If you're hypermobile, you probably find this doesn't work very well for you, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. The fourth is foam rolling, and this is the one I recommend for almost everybody, and especially if you're hypermobile, because you don't have to stretch to get release of the muscle. You can use the foam roller to get into the fascia, get into that tight muscle. More than anything, we're trying to improve the texture of the muscle, so if it's tight, if it's loose, we want to just get into it and help it more like this, not like this. If that makes sense. And remember, when you're foam rolling your hamstrings, focus on the inside, the outside, and the middle of your legs because we have 3 hamstrings. I tell my clients with tight hamstrings to drop and get on the foam roller as many times a day as they can and to just focus on how they're bending over because honestly, between those 2 things, can make a massive difference. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you want any more specific stretches. I just don't want to get into too much detail here, but I'm happy to share if anybody's interested. Let me know which move you want to see next. Bye.